Hi, welcome to my podcast, Happy, Not Just Rich. This is a place where I sit down with my guests and discuss practical strategies and tips for achieving growth and fulfillment. Our guest tonight is a multi talented personality who has a quality of influencing people by his simplicity and authenticity. He is a textile engineer and has a degree in leadership management from prestigious INSEAD Institute. He is working as a business head for leading fashion brand in India, and also working as a life coach and business leader. He was kind enough to spare some time for us and share some golden nuggets with us. So, Nishchal sir, welcome to the podcast. Hope you're having a beautiful day. May I ask you if I missed something from the introduction which you would like to add for our audience to know more about you?
Thank you so much, Kamal. It's been a pleasure and lovely meeting you after so many years, that too on a
Thank
podcast. So, yeah, you have told everything about my professional career. What is it beyond the professional career that we all do, and
you.
what
Yes.
what all we are meant to do? That's a role that I have taken beyond my business leading capabilities, strategic capabilities, building brands capabilities, and all of that. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
that's
We'll
going
talk.
to be a very rich conversation.
I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and what really influenced me was that you have been very busy with your corporate life. At the same time, you are having this spiritual connection, and you had been posting this Bhagavad Gita 2 verse a day. All those things really excited me that I should request you to join me here and share some views with our audience here. So I will go with my first question. I was going through your LinkedIn profile as regularly I do, and I found that you said we are not here just to meet the deadlines. We are here to make the difference.
So this is something which I truly believe in, Kamal. And last 5 years of my life has been a time which I have dedicated to my self discovery. I've worked in this corporate field for 25 years now. I think 25 years is a good enough time for someone to realize that what he has been doing is just simply meeting deadlines, one job after the other, meeting some numbers, KPIs, appraisals, which are dependent on KPIs, right?
Yes,
And becoming manager, senior manager, vice president, senior vice president. And the question which I started facing in last 5 years was that is it the end of it? Is it
yes,
that I'll become this and then I'll reach a place where I'll be fulfilled?
yeah,
And what is the meaning of success in my thought? Why do I not feel successful even though I become a certain position? You know, we
yes,
we have a lot of respect for CXO's positions, right? We take CXO. I am working at a CXO position, right?
yes,
But what if CXO position is not giving me that fulfillment? And what is it? Why is it? And so I said that it is not about meeting deadlines. It is not that why it is not the reason why we exist here. It has to be a reason which is much more than this. And so it's all about meeting your purpose. And
yeah,
that is what I thought. I have to make it easy and accessible for middle managers. What I have done after 25 years, when I did it and when I discovered myself and really went on the way which I have gone to, I thought I should have actually done it 7, 8 years, 10 years back. And so how can I make it possible for that middle manager who is like 10 years younger to me and who I can handhold, who I can actually make it accessible for him that, there is a tool book
yes,
you
yes.
can use
Got it.
and not say that, oh, now I'm 25 and now I want to find my purpose. You can start doing it much earlier at your age. And so that line, what you mentioned.
Yes, it certainly helps. If you have guidance, and especially the middle managers,
Yeah,
they need it because the top managers, they are mostly playing with numbers, but it's the middle managers
yeah,
who are actually dealing with the people who face customer at ground level. So if
true.
the middle managers are motivated and moving in the right direction, I think it helps the organization in a big way. Rate it. Thank you. Thank you. What I know, this happiness and this success is very broad. So if you have to define happiness, what is happiness for you in your own opinion? Happiness is something which is very vague. So that I want to hear from you.
Hmm.
Uh, in your opinion, what is happiness?
What is it? Yeah.
Yes.
So this idea of giving definitions to these broad words is what makes it challenging and what makes it interesting, right?
Yes.
And let me tell you, happiness is something which you have it, then you know it, and if you do not have it, you don't know it.
Yes.
So if your is happiness, the question is coming from a point that he doesn't know it,
Yes.
right? Or maybe he is not able to express. Maybe he's at a pathway where he wants to achieve that level of fulfillment. So maybe you have to find. more on what it is for you. Maybe for me,
Yes.
it is something and I can articulate it, but will it make a difference? Will it make you happy? I don't think
No, I
so.
think this definition is different for everybody.
It's
I know
different.
many people who would go to any length to migrate to a better country
Yeah,
or something which is considered as better, right?
yeah.
Then there is one guy who says that I'm okay with whatever I have because at the end of the day I'm having dinner with my father. So there are different opinions. Everybody has his own way. There are people who are coming back from office and then playing music, some going to fitness. This was the purpose of my podcast, not to have a philosophical discussions and
Yeah,
arguments, but to give people some help that way
yeah.
they can do come back from office. So my definition of happy in this research in this podcast is more day to day basis rather than a philosophical concept of happiness.
Right, Kamal. Philosophy is something which is not in our experience.
Yeah,
We make philosophies for things where we do not have concrete answers. And what philosophy does is that it helps us deal with those things for which we do not have answers so that we can sleep peacefully.
yes. My purpose was very simple. My purpose of this podcast is to touch some lives. I
Hmm.
know many people who are rich, but I also know that they are not happy. Every time when they are going back, they're pressing this elevator button to go to the basement to their car. They are always saying, we should do something. They are having very good salaries, very good positions, but they are not happy. Having another couple of $100 per month also not make them happy because financially they are already satisfied. But there is something else, and they are not looking at that place. The main reason why I started this podcast.
But like, since you asked me very objectively what is happiness, I actually use a tool, Kamal. And when I coach people, I use a tool. In
Okay,
that tool, you get a score of happiness and it is objectively measured. And
very
what
good,
we do in measuring happiness is we measure four things.
very
And
good.
with a lot of researches, it has been concluded that if you want to find out how happy a person is, we will measure four components of that person's life. The first component is interpersonal relationships.
Very good.
How what kind of relationships has he built in his life, right? The second component is optimism.
Okay,
How much longer can he stay with the problem
hmm,
and still say that I can still have a future which I can create?
okay,
The third thing is self actualization, which means how interested he is in pursuing those goals which can give him a rich and fulfilling life now.
okay,
If his pursuit of rich and fulfilling goals is not there, which means he's completely in job and he's not really bothered about anything else, then his self actualization is low.
yeah,
Right? And the fourth is self regard, which means how does he feel about himself? What does he know about himself?
hmm,
So, relationships that he builds, the future outlook of life, self actualization, and self regard. If we add these scores and we build a average
hmm,
score, that is your happiness score. Simply by
okay.
improving your relationships, building your confidence, working on your self actualization, and having an optimistic outlook of life, you can be happy. Simply.
And this assessment and giving numbers to these parameters, you are doing it after talking to them, or that person who is being
No, no,
evaluated?
it's a scientific tool which has been developed by MHS Canada,
Okay,
and there is a set of 133 questions which
okay,
we ask a participant, and those questions will basically do an evaluation, and they will give you a scorecard on 15 components. We pick these four components, add this, and give a happiness score.
okay.
So it's
Very
very
good.
objective. So one is that oh, if you have it, you know it. If you don't have it, you don't know it. But score
Okay.
way, I can even calculate it out of 100. So that is very objective.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid to see that too. It could give up some some crazy numbers for me. Uh, okay, good. Okay, I will come to that point. I was very much impressed by your campaign that you started on social media, Bhagavad Gita, 2 words a day. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
So, can you please share with me, I mean, how it's all started, your spiritual
Mm.
connection with Bhagavad Gita? In my opinion, uh, Bhagavad Gita is like a management book. For
Mm.
people who are following Hindu faith, for them it's a religious book. And for
Mm.
somebody who is not Hindu, for him it can work as a management lesson, like how to
Mm.
live the life, how to challenge your problems.
Mm.
So just want to ask you how it all started and how
Yeah.
important it is.
So it started with self exploration. So I did that scorecard which I mentioned, and I
Hmm,
did that in a leadership management program. And what I observed in that source scorecard was that I was I was miserable in few scores. For example, my self-regard was very poor. My self-acceleration was very high. So I could understand that why am I sitting in this class? Why did I even decide to come into this session? It was only because my self-acceleration score was very high. So
Mhm.
first of all, I could get a confidence that the scorecard is real and it's really accurate to the T. Then I understood that my self-regard is very low. What is it that I do not know about myself that I'm not able to express it to the world? So when I did all of this self-exploration, I started looking out for answers. In
Mhm.
simple terms, my curiosity shot up. Now, when you are someone whose curiosity is to that extent that you are unable to sleep in the night unless you get an answer, that is the time when Bhagavad Gita, which seems a little complex when you start reading it, you will actually start finding it more relatable and approachable.
Mhm.
So with me, when I started this journey, I actually started getting a lot of answers and a lot of anchoring in Gita. I actually started with the Yoga Sutras,
Okay.
which is extremely underrated and absolutely easy to read. It can
Okay.
be read by anyone. It is so easy and it's very compact.
Okay.
When I read Yoga Sutras, I understood that there is so much of richness in it. What will it be in Gita? And then
Mhm.
from Yoga Sutras to Gita is a journey which I took.
Okay.
Then Gita became more accessible to me since I had read Yoga Sutras before.
Mhm.
And what happens is when you read Yoga Sutras and when you start reading these scriptures, the language becomes a little um, easy with some words, and then it starts getting into your mind. I can guarantee anyone who is listening to this podcast, even if two or three shlokas with absolute correct meaning, word by word, stays with you, it is good enough for this life to have an anchor point. That is going to be a
Wow.
very good anchor point.
That's
And
deep.
so I thought that why not I make it easy for people who can't read Gita. I can just take two verses in a day, make it simple, speak it in a very easy way that can make sense to them, and they can just see that in 2 minutes. I gave myself 2 minutes of time. That
Mhm.
in 2 minutes I have to use two verses, easy way, and make it relatable, and maybe it can shoot up the curiosity question of some people, and they can start reading Gita.
So
That's
can you give one shloka summary here in a short time if you want?
okay. Basically, Gita comes from the word Geet.
Right.
So it means song of the god. Simply, Gita only means this that Krishna
Okay.
is singing a song. God is Krishna here, right?
Okay.
Song of the god. So what is happening in Gita is that there is a conversation which is happening between Arjuna and Krishna.
Right.
That too in the middle of a battlefield. Now Arjuna is distressed,
Right.
very distressed, and distressed to that extent that it says in Gita as is that his limbs are shivering
Mhm.
and his throat is dried up.
Mhm.
So he says those words. He says Gatrani Parishushyati, which means I can't speak. My throat is getting dried up.
Okay.
So and he says my limbs are shivering. What do I do, Krishna? And actually, what it says is that the Gandiva falls off his hand. And
Okay.
so Krishna tells him that I understand that this is happening to you, but you must have some tolerance ability. So
Mhm.
one great anchor point that I got from Gita was that Krishna is telling Arjuna not that it is a problem with you that you are shivering and all of that. In fact, he says, I understand this is happening, but you must have some tolerance ability. So when Krishna is talking about tolerance ability, he uses a word called titikshasva bharat. Bharat
Okay.
means he is addressing Arjuna. And titikshasva, if you actually search Sanskrit, it means tolerance ability. So if Krishna is talking about tolerance ability, Krishna is acknowledging that the problems are going to happen and you are going to have a situation like this. And so you must have certain tolerance. How are you going to build that tolerance?
Yes.
इससे
Yes.
अपनी 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 वो बढ़ाओ ना टॉलरेंस की एबिलिटी
Yes,
बढ़ाओ.
I think this shlok. I think it's very close to you because I was researching more about you and your leadership style. In your leadership coachings, I think you are already emphasizing on something called staying calm and controlled in
Hmm.
the time of stress and uncertainty. So
Hmm.
basically, I think influenced by this, you're also using it in your leadership classes. You are
Absolutely.
teaching your students who are the leaders to stay calm and composed in the time of this stress.
Otherwise, yes. Otherwise,
This
Kamal, how
is
will they be even more productive?
right,
In today's world, when people are running behind numbers, they have to they have to deliver KPIs.
right,
Otherwise, they can't stay in their jobs.
right.
So, if they have to deliver numbers and if they are not calm, And if they get bruised by some conversations, a CEO just simply shifted his strategy. They say, oh, now this brand we can't run. We are closing this division. How will it work for them? They can't be saying, oh, my mera gala sukh hai.
Yeah, yeah, they have to perform. They are in the right in the middle of the battlefield. They are
They are
the
the
Arjuna,
battlefield.
and some divine power or some guidance from the
Some
seniors,
anchoring has
or
to be there. Some anchoring has to be there.
right, some
I
anchoring has to be
actually
there.
help these leaders build a coping mechanism. I call it as a coping mechanism,
Very good.
and I help them build this coping mechanism. And as you said, one verse, so in Gita, which is my favorite verse, is which is only in chapter 2, where Krishna says "Matra sparshastu." So matra is a very simple Hindi word only.
Okay.
Matra sparshastu, very
Okay.
simple touch. You
Only
say
by the touch.
only by the touch of what of Shitokshan. Sheet means weather.
Okay.
Shitokshan Sukh Dukda.
Okay.
Which means only by the touch of some weather change. And why will the weather change? By Sukh or Dukh. By some good things or by bad things.
Right.
So you got a lottery, you started jumping, right? Or you lost some money in the stock market, you got depressed. Just by mere touch of this, your seasons will change. Kaunteya.
Right.
And he says, so Matra
And it should
Sparshastu
not happen.
Kaunteya.
Yes. I
It should
think
not happen.
it's very important. Yes. Yes.
It's
I
very
think I
important.
remember there is one shlok. I don't know. Of course, I don't know Gita as closely as you know, but I have been trying for a couple of years on and off. Sometimes by audiobooks, sometimes by YouTube. One of them is that the person who treats happiness and sorrow the same way,
Yeah.
this is the way of living life. And another shloka which is very close to my heart is because it's very practical, it nothing to do with religion, that a man's best friend is his mind,
Man.
and it can also be his worst enemy.
Correct.
So the if you cannot control this, so this is something which is so good.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with religion.
True.
I can give this piece of advice to anybody following any religion, any
Yeah.
faith,
Yeah.
that if you are able to control your mind, then this mind can be your best friend. At the same time, if this mind is controlling you, it can be your worst enemy.
Worst enemy. You
Right?
have absolutely quoted it right. It's exactly this. What
Right.
he said.
As I told you, I mean, I really got impressed by those this campaign. I think I should take it more seriously. And once I finish it, I'll again come back to you and say thank you.
Oh wow. In fact, I was planning to host a webinar on Gita
Please do that. Please
where
do
I
that.
will actually make it easy and I will take it just like one or two chapters and let people build their own insights to it.
Right. Right. I think all we need is discipline.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets excited by
Mm.
some trigger, by some video, by some influence. They start with first chapter, second chapter, and then by the fourth or fifth chapter comes, they lose the momentum. And that
Mm.
happens not only with this, it happens with any big project. As they say, motivation will get you started,
Yeah.
discipline will get you accomplished, or you,
Accomplished. Yeah.
yes, right.
But
Okay.
see, Noel, what I've observed in practical life is um, that when we talk about discipline, discipline also comes from ultimately the mind, right? It's
Right.
like how much can you keep it steady is what discipline is. And think about a person who is coming to read Gita, or
Hmm.
if he thinks about reading such scripture, he's basically coming to solve a problem.
Yeah, he's disturbed. In most of the cases,
It's not
he's disturbed and is looking for an answer. He's using this as a guide, as a
as a spiritual mentor.
yeah,
That maybe it will help me alleviate my pain. So the
yes,
person who is coming to read Gita for that, how can we expect him to be disciplined?
yes, you're right.
No,
He's already is disturbed.
he's
Yes,
already disturbed, and
yes.
therefore whenever a person is in that position, I always tell him that you look for a mentor or a teacher.
Hmm.
Do not try because it is he is going to be very unkind to him if he is not reading it past one chapter. He will say, you know what, I do not have that in me.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not the right thing. He has it in him. He just needs someone to hold him.
Perfect. Yeah, it's so it has to be done in groups. So basically, you answered my next question in this same series of questions that I had prepared for you was what advice you will give or what approach people should take who start but they cannot finish it. I think you
Hmm.
already said that without mentor, it should not be
Hmm.
done.
It is
So,
not possible. It is simply not possible. That's the truth.
okay,
It's written in Gita also, where Krishna says to Arjuna says that my mind is chanchal. He actually says exactly that this what you're telling is doesn't seem practical to me. As is, huh? I'm not adding up,
oh, great, great,
and that it doesn't work. I don't think so. My mind has it. What you're saying.
okay,
So what do I do? And what Krishna says is that you first take wisdom, and he introduces Gyan Yoga to him.
okay,
And he says if you have to take wisdom, he uses the word pradipaten pariprashnen. Pranipat means to lie down, fold your hands. So he says go to a guru, find a guru, ask him your questions with folded hands, with humility. Sit with him, bring a lot of curiosity, and you will get it.
great, great.
Clearly, he says this. So it's very important for anyone to find that person and look for a mentor rather than trying to find answers by their own self.
Good. So that was the section which was mostly about spirituality, and the next section is about what you do in your professional capability. I would say when you are helping people as a professional leadership coach. I was going through your profile and I was doing some research about you. I found that you are emphasizing on self awareness and emotional strength a lot.
Yeah.
So I will just put all my question. You can explain your all strategy together. So about self-awareness, emotional strength, and second is EQ, emotional intelligence or emotional quotient, as the people say, how
Yeah.
important this is in the leadership role.
Mm.
And the third part, for which is very important for the leaders, to stay calm, composed at the time of stress.
Mm.
So I see that your leadership coaching is mostly emphasizing on
Yeah.
these parts, if I could capture properly. So
You
if you
captured it.
can explain it in your own words, I think we all could benefit from it.
Yeah. So my emphasis in leadership world is on EQ, which is emotional intelligence. And whatever you mentioned, Kamal, is absolutely bang on the spot. And what I have observed in my 25 years of career, even now I am heading the complete business of few brands, and I take care of complete P&L, profit and loss responsibility, which means that in a board meeting room, I cannot quote any verse from Gita. I have to just quote numbers.
Right.
Right? So I completely understand the pressure that it takes to grow brands, and especially at the pace which is expected as of now in India. Right, pace is the key. Now, my whole ground learning is that emotional intelligence is the answer to everything. Emotional intelligence is not saying that you become emotionally intelligent and start working on your own fulfillment and forget about numbers. What emotional intelligence is saying is that if I build a graph, I take an x-axis and y-axis, and I plot productivity on x-axis and happiness on y-axis, the only way to exist in the world is with high productivity and high happiness. If you are very happy and low, very not productive, you will be thrown out of the job. And if you are extremely productive and not happy, you will experience burnout. And you are not productive and very happy, people will feel pity on you. So the only way to exist is high happiness and high productivity. And what EQ does is, which I explained you in the beginning, that we actually measure all the components. There are 15 components. And what EQ does is that it basically takes you to a point where you are extremely happy and extremely productive. The only thing that EQ says is that there is a caveat. And the caveat is that while you are building up to high happiness and high productivity, happiness first is the rule.
Hmm.
That you first become a fulfilled person, you first become happy, then you go to a board meeting and show your PPTs.
Okay.
Don't go and become productive and show your PPTs and then think about your happiness later.
So you have to be first happy,
Yeah,
then you try to make others happy.
correct. You prioritize your happiness
Yeah.
because you go with a half heart at work.
Yeah, yeah. You will
So
not give you 100%, never.
you will
You will
not give
just
it
do the bare minimum to avoid the punishment,
correct.
but you'll not do even 1% more to improve the process or improve the whole experience. You're right.
Absolutely,
It's very
absolutely.
good.
So we even measure very, very critical components like decision making component, problem solving components. We even measure that in EQ. It is
Hmm.
not just EQ sounds like it is all about emotions and soft skills. That is not the case.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, when I was reading about emotional intelligence and emotional quotient, I wanted you to, I mean, explain more about it.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
So emotional
Thank you.
intelligence is all about dealing with the outside world in an authentic, meaning, productive, and a happier way, in a meaningful way.
Okay.
Deal with an outside world. Now, outside world are the stakeholders, are your is your team, your family, your friends. How do you
Right.
deal with them in an authentic and a productive manner? And so, if you,
Right.
let's say you're not making the right decisions in life,
Yeah.
then you always feel, oh, you know what, wo decision galat ho gaya. Now, it is not just the skill thing which is going wrong. People think my skill has to do something with it.
Hmm.
With me working in a job for 20 years, if I am being paid for 20 years, it simply means that I have the skill. That is why I am being paid. No
Right.
company is going to pay you for 20 long years for one role.
Yeah.
You have the skill, but if you still say that my decisions are not the best, it has
Mm.
to do with emotional intelligence. So we will measure your decision making skills. Where
Okay.
is it going wrong? Maybe you're not seeing the reality the way it has to be seen, and you are making some decisions just because your gut says it. Have you heard people saying, my intuition, gut
Yeah, I
told
have the hunch, I have a feeling that this is the right one without supported, without the decision being supported by numbers or by
number
previous hypothesis.
hypothesis. So I will measure for that person what is your how weak is your hunch. It will show. Then I will also check his problem solving abilities. कि सामने someone came and he said I have this problem and you just went away with the emotion and didn't see the problem the way it has to be seen.
Okay, can you just some past experience where somebody came to you and you saw that person has huge capability, but just there is a thin layer which you have to remove
Yeah,
with your coaching? Because I see people are who are coming here, they have degrees, 1 or 2 degrees,
yeah,
postgraduate, most of them have
yeah.
industry experience of 10 plus year, and then they reach a situation where they need professional leadership coaching. So all of those people, as you said, they have been paid by their organization by for last 10, 11, 12 years, so
Yeah,
for sure they have skills,
yeah.
but still something is lacking where a leadership coaching is required to polish or remove this layer which is between them and their improved deliveries. Can you please share something without taking names, without sharing any personal detail?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Why not? I mean, it will really give some practical examples.
Yeah.
So I coach a client who basically is working with a company for 15, 16 long years.
Okay.
And she has been someone who has given them results for 10 long years. She was even posted in an overseas country, right? And she did extremely well there, delivered numbers. And she proved that she is extremely good in building strategies, right? Now, because she was good at one thing, she was called back to India and she was told that you really do a good job there. Now we want you to take care of the other division which we are giving up to you,
Hmm.
and we want to scale it the way you have scaled that division.
Okay.
Now, the difference is when she was given up this role, she started working on it the same way, the same strategies that worked before. But she was completely out of the place in 6 months from the day she started the work. And she came back to me and she said that I am doing absolutely everything right and I know my strategies will work. But somehow, whenever I try and I try and talk to my stakeholders, my boss, my CEOs, I'm getting a pushback. My team is not supporting me. Whatever I'm trying to do, they are not simply doing it because they have, she said, so this is her statement, that they have
Although
a
she
failure.
has a blueprint which has already worked,
Yes.
so she has full faith in her plan, but still
Yeah.
she's not getting the buy-in from the
He
team.
or she,
Okay.
I understood, I listened to her, and listening is a key part of coaching program. We must know how to listen. So once I started listening and listening, I understood. First of all, I understood that she has come here simply because her self-awareness is very high. Person who is not self-aware will not go to a coach. That is
Okay.
point one. A person who is looking for a coach means his self awareness is high. A person who thinks I will sort it out, his self awareness is low.
That's a
So
good
her
one.
self awareness is high because she actually reached out to me and she said, I am having this issue and I want to solve it. So her ability to say I want to solve it says that she has the potential to be a leader. So I said, okay, let us work on a score. And first I built her perspective and everything. There's a perspective which I built for about 7, 8 hours. I did that. And I did a scorecard for her. When I saw her scorecard, there were two things which came out very clearly. First of all, her score on reality testing was extremely low. Now, reality testing is the ability to see situations the way they are, not in your own biased way. What is happening in her case is that she thinks there is a situation that she needs to solve it, but that situation is not there at all. So,
Problem is
reality,
different from previous experience.
yeah, she's trying to solve something, but that thing doesn't need to be solved.
Mm.
It's not about the strategy, it's all about the team. So she wants to solve something, so her reality testing is low. The other thing was that her empathy was low, which means that when she is going to a group meeting room where she is telling them that these are the numbers that we have to deliver and the numbers have not been delivered, now she is demanding team, right, that the numbers have to be delivered. She is demanding it with a lower empathy. A team who is failing to deliver results doesn't need a stick. The team which is not delivering numbers needs empathy. And the first question that needs to be asked from the team is, where is it that you need my help? What are the resources I can give you to deliver results?
Right.
Because you are in my team, we both are not able to deliver our KPIs. I have
Right.
done it before. I have the roadmap. You people tell me that, do you not agree with my roadmap, or is there something that I have not given you to meet that roadmap? She was simply going to the room and asking them, "तुमने
I
number meet
need
किए?
this.
I need this."
Mm. It's
And then
not.
the reality testing is low. So if you work with a client and tell her, if you know you are a person who's reality testing low, you must go and ask three people who you really trust in, who are the best of your friends, to and tell her or him, who is the best of your friend, this is how I see the situation. Do you also see the situation this way? And then you see a gap. You see a gap, then you go to your team and tell them that, oh, I know I was seeing it this way, but you are seeing it this way. Is it a gap that you also experience? And see the reaction of that team. How will they come forward?
This is
So
good.
this
It's very good.
ultimately lead to productivity only. It's not
Yeah.
about emotions.
Yeah, yeah. You're not giving her a new degree. You're not giving her any new skill. You're
Yeah,
basically just, yeah, showing her the way. This reality testing and then empathy. This
empathy.
is,
Yeah, we see so many components. We see
yeah.
where the imbalance is happening, and then we help.
No, really, really great. I see that how important this component is. And especially in
Mm,
that time, nowadays, the problem in this digital world that we are living is that the distraction is too much. Now,
yeah.
as I'm talking to you right now, I had to close my web WhatsApp
Mm,
because that is 24/7 on. On top of that, we have social media, this distraction. So in this in this time of distractions, whoever can stay focused, he's already one step ahead. This is my feeling that if I have to talk to my son who is 13-year-old, I would give him first advice, no matter he's studying physics or chemistry or biology or history or social science or anything. Before going to those subjects, first you have to understand that everybody is distracted. In your class,
yeah,
if there's 30 students, 29 are distracted. If you can be that one person who is more focused, you already are one step ahead. And
very good.
that's and with us it is even more because our work is related to the mobile and
Yeah.
laptops. So in this world of distractions, coaching could be really really useful. I think that's all I had prepared, and I think I have got the good answers from you. I hope my audience will also get benefit from what you shared. Just to conclude, let us think about a hypothetical person. As I talked, this person is pressing his button, elevator going down to his car. He's having a good salary, a good position in the company, and also good stability. So he's
Mm,
having a secure future, but still he's not happy. Now, this
mm,
person is not courageous enough to leave this job and start something brand new. He has to
mm,
continue. So, for sure, this guy will continue in this job.
mm,
Financially, he can grow a little bit, but I know
mm,
that will not satisfy him because that is not what is missing. So that financial component which will increase will not add anything. I know it will not make him happy. So for
mm.
this hypothetical person, what advice you would give so that on the coming weekend he can sleep better?
Yeah, for me, the only advice to him is start building layers of wisdom. The reason a person doesn't take an action towards his fulfillment and a person who takes an action is only one thing, that the person who takes an action has reached to a point where his curiosity has shot up the roof. Now he can't sleep. Only then he takes an action. A person who can sleep with it and think, oh, I know I'm not happy, but it's fine. So that can only happen when there is a layer of wisdom, another layer of wisdom, another layer of wisdom. Now the layer has reached to your neck and you can't breathe now. Now you have to like either throw that wisdom out And throwing that wisdom out means taking action.
So let's call
Yeah.
this level of frustration
Yeah.
happiness from his it's beyond a certain threshold, he will take an action. And
Yeah.
if it is only to a small extent, he would just sleep over it and
So
forget
leave
it,
with it.
and tomorrow morning start the
Yeah.
day in the usual way.
What have we done for last 20 years in corporates? Same thing.
Hmm.
It's not that we were very happy, that's why we were working. We were
No, no,
getting
no.
salaries, we were paying our bills,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, we were not really happy, right?
Yes, yes,
But it was
nobody.
not to that extent that I can't live. I could still survive. And I
Yeah.
survived. Now there came a point that that we all started getting existential questions. That yeah, I have now survived. I can pay my bills monthly. Paying my bills is not a problem. But is it that how I'm going to end? And then when it started, it reached a point where I couldn't breathe with the question. Then I started accumulating wisdom.
But also, what you are saying is in complete harmony with this Maslow
Law of
pyramid,
hierarchy.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in the beginning, when somebody is starting his career in the first year, his first aim is somehow survive.
Survive.
Somehow I have to stick here so that they don't kick me out. And then when he reaches 15 years, 20 years in the same job, then all these things start coming. This self actualization is there or not? What's my
Exactly.
relationship in the workplace? So,
So
so
that is
you
what we have
exactly.
to, as leaders like you, me, you are doing this podcast. That is such a great initiative because the purpose that you and me have is exactly the same. That we do not want it to happen post 45 or 50 years. We want this to happen at the right time. And right time is not when you have grown old.
Yes.
Right time is when you are young.
So it's always nice talking to you, Nishchal sir. I'm very thankful for this podcast. What I personally learned from you is also it's going to make a big difference. And I personally highlighted this part: ancient wisdom meets modern leadership.
Yeah.
That's how I will define you, because you are in this modern corporate world dealing with the fashion brands, so you are very much up to date with recent developments. At the same times, you have the spiritual touch, and how you are connecting this. Really, it's a blessing to have all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Kamal.
you for joining me on this show, and stay in
Thank you for
touch.
inviting me. Thank